Hey there guys, DMO73 here, finally back from hiatus, bringing you feature matches. Again, really excited about this. So today I am showing off a Malefic Yggdrasil list sent to me by Josh. You've seen lots of lists on the channel. This is called Tree Emissary. It's a reference to magic, but super fun version of Yggdrasil, very, very strong, with a lot of toolbox options. And I'm playing against David, who is playing the Kaguya 4 cancels deck that was kind of brought into the limelight by Bremont of On Tilt Gaming at his ARG States event. So the whole purpose of the deck is just lots of cancel spells, and then kimonos on Night Moon Blossom, which has barrier to just help you finish off the game with lots of damage. So we'll see how this goes. So David is choosing to be on the draw. There's a lot of advocacy right now for being on the draw if you get the choice. Taking an opponent's ruler off Energize is actually pretty good right now. So as opposed to back in the day when we were all about just making sure you get the play all the time. So I'm on the play. First turn is a Death Scythe, which does open me up for Severing Winds, unfortunately. So I play this Guinevere, and I jokingly say, well, show me Severing Winds, and he decides to use it there. I don't necessarily know if that was the right choice for David. Severing Winds, yeah, it's super powerful, and he does stop my draw power with Gwyn, but he's got so much stuff that I'm not necessarily sure how much stopping the draw power is super important for him. But he does use it that first turn. It's not necessarily bad. It essentially makes it so my first turn was worthless. I played a Death Scythe, which does nothing to his J ruler, and then, really nothing to his ruler, and then I just end the turn there. So he hits his Kaguya Stone, Scries, and then grabs a Treasury, then plays a Kimono and passes the turn. On my turn, I get a Ruler's Memory and swing in for 6 damage with Lance. The way you play around Severing Winds is just to play 1 card a turn. Try to be careful about that. And then the way that you can deal with a cancel deck is to just kind of rush their face in a little bit before they get a chance to establish all their cancels. So plays that Night Moon Blossom and gets a Kimono on it, and then goes to me. Get another Ruler's Memoria and play my Arla. Realizing a little bit too late that Night Moon Blossom has barrier, and so that Arla is not going to be helpful at all. So he's just going to block with the Night Moon Blossom. Neither of them will kill each other, just because of the Kimono pumping up Night Moon, and Lance not having enough attack, but also having more defense than Night Moon can deal with. Gets another stone, goes ahead and uses Kaguya's effect to grab another kimono. That's going to get attached. Now each of those kimonos is going to be +2/+2, which is not good for me. That Night Moon is going to get extra big pretty quick. The more kimonos come down, the stronger it becomes. So David's trying to figure out, he's got a handful of cancel spells, as you can see there. He's just trying to see what else he wants to do. Looks like a second Night Moon Blossom maybe in his hand, but he's got to hold the will up for the cancels. So I swing, so here's something to note. I swing in the air here with Arla, and then I should be swinging with Lance first, and we will catch it, and I'll swing in the Lancelot, and then I'll be fine with him killing the Lancelot with Night Moon Blossom. He's going to block it. We catch it before the end of this turn. So keep in mind, guys, if you are playing with Lancelot, don't forget he does have to swing first. It's mandatory if you go into combat. So the board state will be as it should be when the turn is over, and our apologies for that. So I'm going to go ahead and play Verdandi, exile an Arla, and then draw from the Verdandi. Now the reason why I'm doing this here is because I would really like to try to get that second Arla out to be able to start putting in damage, as well as maybe have access to it on his turn. But the problem is I have to get behind on stones to do it, which is not super ideal, but I'm already putting a lot of pressure on him, and the longer this game goes, the more likely it is that I'm not going to succeed. Just because he has so many cancels. But I do go ahead and still, you see me going back and forth here. I think probably the optimum decision is to just wait and try to get the Arla flashed in on his turn, just so that next turn I can deal 14 damage in the air. You're going to see me, and here's our kind of recovery. I swing in the Lancelot, he blocks it, I let it die, then the Arla goes through for the damage, putting him down to 27. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass the turn, I think, here. Yeah, because I want to try to grab the Arla. Because the more damage I can get in the air before he can get Kaguya flipped, the better. Because then I can just close out the game with a very easy torching the timeline with Volca or something like that, especially if he taps out to try to make a play. Hits another Kaguya Scrystone, gets to set up to get a free kimono off the top of the deck, which will attach. So now all those kimonos are giving +3/+3, so that Night Moon Blossom is very large. The problem that the Night Moon Blossom does have, though, is that until Kaguya gets flipped, he really doesn't have a way to answer creatures that are on the board for blockers, so I get lots of chump blocks. Which is the main reason why I played the Verdandi. So Verdandi's going to serve its purpose and block and prevent a bunch of damage. He sets a standby, that Lunar Lake, I think. And then I'm going to go ahead and at the end of the turn use the Yggdrasil to bring in the Arla. David's trying to make sure he understands how exactly Yggdrasil works here. So by doing it at the end phase, when it goes into my turn, I'll have both Arlas available to attack. Call a stone, hit an Ebon home. I'm going to pay the 3 life for it, taking me down to 37. And I hit a kimono off the top, which is nice. Paying 2 to play out Barrier Seal. Now, the reason why Barrier Seal is so good is because now all of these cards that were in my graveyard are now being removed from the game. This is mainly just to serve as a way to help recycle the corrupted 7 Kings. You know, if they would die for any reason. So it's really nice to be able to recycle, and then both of these Arlas can just swing in. So now if he wastes his time swinging his Night Moon Blossom at one of my Arlas, it just gets removed, which then will just let me immediately recast it with Yggdrasil if I need to. So it essentially says, well, don't waste your time. But at the same time he needs to, because now he's within range of both Arlas killing him. So he does let the Verdandi that I grabbed with Memory of Disappearance come into play. I'm going to go ahead and exile the Black Moonbeam because I don't need it, and then draw a card. He's got enough treasury items now that even if Kaguya does flip, she'll have Barrier, so Black Moonbeam is literally useless. Plays another kimono. Now that Night Moon Blossom has +16/+16. Like I said, they get exponentially bigger, you know, just crazy fast. He goes ahead and attempts to scry there, misses. And you see he's got a hand of, looks like Millennium Bond, Seal of Wind and Light, 2 treasury items, another Night Moon Blossom, and a Dawn of the Earth. I don't know why he's not at least casting the second Night Moon Blossom, just to have. He attempts to swing at the Arla. I'm going to go ahead and block with the Verdandi. Casts the Dawn of the Earth, which will let him untap, and then he gets to draw a card. So now it's really big. It's sitting at +18/+18. Swings at the Arla, gets RFG'd, and then he passes the turn there. I believe that'd be the best choice. He wants to leave up Cancel Will. So I'm at a point now with 4 stones that I'm probably not going to call for stone. I really don't have a need. I played the Ifrit Glass to RFG a card. This also lets me get instant speed back cards if I need them. I'll swing in for the 7, taking him down to 6 life. So now I don't really have a need. I have no cards in my hand, right? So there's no real reason for me to tap for stone, and Yggdrasil is essentially my hand. And I only need Kaguya to, or I need Arla to swing 1 time to kill him, and I've got access to, if he does swing for some reason, I can use Guinevere to either block or refill my hand, which is very nice. You know, I can, you know, sacrifice it to Guinevere, draw 2 cards, and then immediately recast it with Yggdrasil. So he casts this treasury item, the bottle that lets him recycle his graveyard, which does nothing at this point because of the Barrier Seal. I'm going to cast Heavenly Gust, which I think is an interesting play here. None of my Regalia are doing anything, at this point. They also should all be all RFG'd. I think he's maybe just using it so that he can, I don't know, get rid of the Ifriglass, I would suppose. And he uses Kaguya's effect there to try to bounce the Arla, which I also feel like was not a very good play. So the Arla would go to grave at this point, but I have the other Arla in my RFG area, so now I can just recover, and he doesn't have enough treasury items at this point to be able to make it happen. So then I swing in with the 60, attempting to kill, and that's the end of the game there. He was really in bad shape. I mean, if he hadn't bounced the Arla there, then he'd already just take the damage from that Arla. If he hadn't, you know, just lots of different things that worked out there just from sticking creatures that go along. So this game, he again is going to take the draw. He wants to try to get those cancels up. The weird thing with Yggdrasil is we don't play really a lot of things that can get canceled because we're primarily lots of creatures. So Seal of Wind and Light is his big thing, and then Severing Winds. Millennia Bond's really not going to touch us very much, especially since we mostly play, most of our spells are like Regalias or additions, as opposed to like actual spells. So I pay the 3 life there. I play the Guinevere first. I took the risk there of playing trying to get the Guinevere out turn 1, and then I played my Regalia, so I took a risk with knowing that I could have hit Ruler's Memoria. Paid off, so I get the Guinevere and 2 Orb of Disasters without either of them getting Severing Winds, which is nice. Gets that Light Vapors, scries, and fails to scry. Gets a Kimono. I did get a Kimono off with my Ebon home, which is really nice. Going into my turn, just pitch the Guinevere to itself. Feel really bad because I got a Velsivarian off the draw, and I want to try to mill those. Calling for Stone, hit the Ruler's Memoria. Play out a Destructive Assault. Reason why I'm casting it is because I just want to get the Kimono off board. The more Kimonos that I don't have to deal with, the better off I am. So, no creatures for me yet, so I just pass the turn. Gusting Skies plays out the Pictorial Scroll with the Energize. Let's let him grab 3 cards and places RFGs them, and then as long as Pictorial Scroll's on the field, he can cast them. So going to my turn. So this would have been a much better thing to Destructive Assault. It would have been essentially a free +3 because those 3 cards are just permanently gone at that point. But, you know, you never know what's coming, so. I'll play Memory of Disappearance to try to grab the Volga. Reason why I'm doing this, or I think about grabbing the Volga, but I decided to grab Tama. I want to try to refill my hand a little bit. Volga being in the RFG is fine as long as I can bring it back, and I have the Ifrit glasses, which is really nice. Volga is essentially my way to serve as a backup, especially if I've taken a lot of damage. I can just torch the timeline targeting Volga and deal a lot of burn damage to him. Calls a Gusting Skies, attempts to scry, and misses again. There comes our first Kimono. And he plays 2 more treasuries off of it. Another Kimono, and then that thing that lets him recycle his graveyard. Hit another Ebon home. I choose not to pay for this one. It's going to come in tapped. I don't really necessarily need it. I hit another card. I hit a Millennia Bond, which is great for me. The more cancels I hit, the easier it is for me to win. And then I'll just play a Velsivarian just to have another body on board, because again, the more bodies that stick against this deck, the more likely it is that you can win. Attempts to scry, hits something this time, which is nice. The reason why he hasn't called for Stone yet is because he's probably going to try to Judgment this turn, or close to. Decides to call a Stone, hits that Kaguya's Stone, keeps the Millennia Bond on top. The reason why he's doing that is because next turn he'll draw the Millennia Bond, and then he wants to be able to scry with Kaguya, so he'll just top deck the Kimono into his hand anyway. Plays another bottle. Passes the turn. You see he's got Dawn of the Earth, 2 Seal the Wind Lights, a Severing Winds. Like, just lots of cancel spells, but nothing really is helping him advance the board state outside of playing more additions. So, the longer this goes on, the more these swings are going to connect. And he's just not going to be able to do anything about it. Puts him in a lower and lower life total that, you know, eventually he's just going to have to try to answer. Otherwise, it's just too low, and he's just done. So, swing with the 2 that can come into play. Deal a good 6 damage there. Pass the turn. Takes it down to 32. There's that free card off of Kaguya. Plays the Kimono. At this point, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So with all the cancel spells in his hand and not having a creature, I think flipping is probably the best decision here. He can start using Kaguya to minus my attack and do lots of stuff, but he decides to pay 2 will to wipe out all my Regalia, which seems a little weird here. Wipes out all my 0 drops and removes them from the game. Seems a little weird. In response, I'm going to go ahead and crack Torch the Ifrit Glass to bring back Volga to my hand, just so I have access to Volga later. And then pass. So Kaguya is going to be able to make it so none of these attacks can go through, which is really good for him at this point. Especially if he, can remember to do it. Essentially, that's 1, 2. He can completely mitigate all of the damage that would be dealt by my creatures just by tapping some stuff down. Instead, he tries to he produces will to cast the Night Moon Blossom and then equip them onto them. So, pretty good turn for him. I mean, he's got the Night Moon Blossom out, Kaguya's out. He got rid of my Regalia. Now he can start putting in damage, which is nice. But the weird thing is, Tree doesn't care about damage. It just cares about decking out. So, not quite sure if that was the right call. So I choose to pay the 3. This puts me down to 34. 34 life. Looking at my field. I have a final battle, which is cute, but I can't. That Kaguya isn't animated yet, so it's not really worth it. And I would be paying so much life to kill that Night Blossom, so it's not worth my time. I'm, however, going to pay 2, play out the Volga. The reason why I'm playing the Volga here is because of if he tries to swing with the Night Moon Blossom, I might be able to, force him to spend more of his treasury items to bounce it, and or if he doesn't, if I could block the Night Moon Blossom, he just takes a bunch of damage. So I'm trying to set up for later plays. You see I've got that Torching the Timeline in my hand, which is great. I'm also trying to pull some tricks with Volga to get him to actually connect, making him waste some resources to bounce the Volga, like if I block, and then the damage will go through, which then mills out the deck for me to reuse Volga and Torching the Timeline. The beauty of the way you get around Severing Winds is you play Volga, pass the turn, and then before draw on your opponent's turn, cast the Torching, because then you get around Severing. But he decides to take the damage here, which I think is fine. He might, it's 6 damage. It's not like the worst thing for him to possibly have to deal with. So, I mean, it just puts him down to 22. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. It'll just reduce, just reducing damage, or just hitting him for the damage is good. So, gets me closer to being able to hit him for torching. Goes to his turn, recovers. Again, all of those treasure items are back in play. And the reason why I went ahead and swung in with everything is because there's no reason not to. To be honest, if he blocks with Night Moon Blossom, then the rest just get in and I get to push in damage. If he doesn't, then it's just free damage. Especially since he wasn't using his treasury items to reduce my attack. Another Kimono comes in. We're up to a +16/+16 Night Moon Blossom with lots of will available for David. He swings in for a bunch of damage. And then here's the force. So I attempt to block him with Volga. He pays 4. He taps 4 treasury items to attempt to bounce Volga. I can't do anything about it. That Volga's going to come back to my hand. And then he's going to hit me for, I think it's 19 damage. So 19 cards get RFG'd here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 cards are now all removed. And then he does something weird here that unfortunately I think costs him the game. So he couldn't have known, but so he's going to go ahead and do, he's going to go ahead and cast Dawn of the Earth. And I'm going to go ahead and attempt to cast Amaterasu's Foresight to try to make it so that he can't kill me. Like, he can't, like, pay the, he can't untap and deal the damage. But he's going to go ahead and respond by tapping some treasury items down and using his 1 stone to go ahead and cast Millennia Bond, so it gets canceled. So now I'm going to take the 21, but the thing is my deck is way more than 21 cards still. So at this point he's essentially sealed his fate. He couldn't have known I had Torching the Timeline in my hand, but if he hits a single Torching the Timeline with Ifrit Glass on the board, then, or a Volga or whatever, like whatever the combo pieces I need, those are now in my graveyard. And he only has he has no 1 treasury item up, which means he can't produce any will. And I don't think he taps for stone. Even if he taps for stone here, he can't actually produce the will to do a cancel. So I'm left with 4 cards left in the deck, which is exactly where I want to be, because that means that I have over 40 cards in my RFG area. So it passes to me, recover for the turn, attempt to swing for 2, attempt to swing for 4, attempt to swing for 4. That's all gonna connect. Takes the damage, not that it matters. I'm just gonna play the Volga. Then I'll pass the turn, and then before recovery on his turn, I'm going to Torch the Timeline Volga. He can't possibly counter it, and it's not the second card I played this turn. I actually have 40, I think it's like 43 cards removed at this point, so he's going to take 43 damage, because Volga takes 43, and then he takes 43. So that is it for this match, guys. Let me know what you thought. Deck list will be up this week. Huge thanks to David. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, until next time, this is DMO73, signing off.